Good afternoon from a lovely spring afternoon here in Johannesburg. Lynette here for Tac Shack Tactical TV. We've got Paul from Gun Owner South Africa. Welcome, Paul. You've got quite a bit of information for us.
Afternoon, Lynette. Yeah, it looks like it.
You're going to talk about the current court cases and the future court cases.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 court cases that have just concluded within the space of the last probably month, just over a month. But the judgments have just come out.
Okay, great.
One of the cases is a GOSA case on behalf of one of our members. 2 of the cases are on behalf of Martin's clients, Martin's cases. Then I want to refer, whilst I've gone through that, I want to also refer to a case which is about to progress, which is being brought to court, and that's being brought to court by Martin with GOSA's support. And then I also want to talk about a case from about a year ago, which draws on the same elements as the first 3 cases we're talking about, just to indicate that this problem is persistent. It's the same bloody problem we've had the whole time. History just keeps repeating itself because we fail to learn from it.
Okay. Well, where do you start?
Okay, so I'm going to start with our own case because that's most familiar to us. And the judgment was only the amended judgment because the typist made an error. And that was amended only this week, and it's just been the amended judgment has just been released. It was a case on behalf of one of our members, Labuskachni, and it was a case where it's a case that's typical of a lot of problems that we have, that a lot of members and a lot of other people have been having with CFR in the last couple of years, and that relates to the signature on the endorsement document from an accredited association, in this case, the South African Practical Shooting Association. Now, the South African Practical Shooting Association is one of the oldest associations in the country. They've been around since the 70s. They're very formal, they're very well organized. There are a lot of sub-associations that shoot other stuff that are registered under SAPS's banner. So they've been there, they've seen the elephant, they've done the business, they know what they're doing. So the chairman of SAPSA, the way the law is written for Section 16 endorsements, it states that the chairman of the association must issue a sworn statement that the person is in fact an accredited, or is a member of the association in good standing, or the law says someone duly appointed by the chairman to this purpose. For the last 9 years, I think it's been the secretary of the association.
And it's been accepted.
And it's been perfectly acceptable for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. For years and years and years. Suddenly 2 years ago, approximately, if I can recall, SAPS had a brain fart, as they often do, and started refusing these based on the fact that the secretary of the association is not the chairman. However, when they started doing this, when the chairman delegated the authority to the secretary of the association 9 years ago, a letter was sent to SAPS and put on record saying this person has now been, in terms of Section 16 to something of the Act, this person has now been delegated by the chairman to sign these letters. And it's been perfectly acceptable.
On his or her behalf.
On his or her behalf. And it's been perfectly acceptable for years and years and years. 2 years ago, SAPS has a brain fart and starts refusing on the basis that the chairman didn't sign. These guys are shallow thinkers at CFR. I'm not sure what the reason is for this. I'm not sure if they're trying to do less work, or if they think it's just easier if they shirk their duties, or if it's going to be too much trouble for somebody to catch them out. But they keep on doing the same bloody things wrong. Anyway, so eventually we got an applicant that was prepared to go further. That's a huge problem with getting applicants. And typically what happens when a person gets when a person applies to court for help, the CFR will rush to their assistance, and then the applicant will withdraw because they say, well, I've got my result, I don't have to go to court now.
And it's the same fight then over
And then the same fight has to happen again
over
and
and
again
over
and again and again. So we actually got this one of our members, Labuskachni, that was prepared to go the full distance. It's quite rare, and big ups to him. Anyway, so we got this thing to but first, of course, it went on the internal appeals process, and
that's been a mess.
The appeals, so the appeals board. So the appeals board then also maintained this fiction of the chairman. They said no, but the registrar is correct. And even when it was pointed out to them, but hang on a second, the letter was already on file. The chairman of the appeals board said no, but it should have been sent in with the application. Therefore, technically, it's not. It's complete horseshit. I apologize for the crude language. It's complete bunkum. It's rubbish. Anyway, and the judge saw right through this. So the judge made short work of the defendants, the SAPS, the respondents' arguments, and ordered that the case be returned to the CFR and be properly considered because all of the elements were in place in the first place. We're a little unhappy about that. It was an acting judge. Sometimes acting judges are a little bit nervous, specifically with state entities like the SAPS. But the judge awarded us costs. Straight out of the door, awarded us costs, and that's important. So that's an indication of the judge's displeasure with the state's argument. As usual, we'll have various dogs wandering in and out of the set. I apologize. Anyway, so that was well handled, and we got that done. Then there are two cases that Martin actually argued. I think one of them as far back as July.
Can I maybe just go back to the previous
Sure.
court case? So is that now a precedent, and that it will not happen in the future?
It will happen.
Not happen
It will happen in future, but what we've accomplished is we've actually got an order. It wasn't just agreed to by SAPS and made an order of court. There was a proper judgment that was delivered.
Okay.
So that establishes precedent.
Okay.
It was in the North Gauteng High Court. It establishes precedent. It's binding on all government business. We're quite happy with it.
Okay,
it's elusive. These things are difficult to get. People say, "Oh, just take it to court." It ain't that simple. Anyway, so now we have that in our.
That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win. That's a most definite win.
Great.
The second case I want to talk about is a case that Martin argued on, or Martin's counsel argued on behalf of Nkwe Wildlife Services and Security. I think that's the correct name. And this is where SAPS had wrongly determined that the party who applied for the licenses for 3 firearms for business purposes didn't hold.
Sorry. Uji.
Sorry, the Rottweiler is playing with his new soft toy. So what happened was that the Nkwe Wildlife and Security Services had applied for licenses to 3 firearms. The registrar had rejected this on the basis.
I'm sorry.
Do you need a moment?
I do.
The registrar had rejected the license applications on the basis that the applicant didn't have competency had expired. This was based on SAPS's persistent misunderstanding of the law with regards to competencies and when competencies expire. So Martin took it to court, and then of course the appeals board, the useless appeals board, agreed with the registrar, even though it was plainly wrong, black letter law. We have a 2006 Amendment Act that states it quite clearly that the licenses are as good as competencies are as good as the licenses attached to them. We have a directive from SAPS in 2011 specifically laying this out. and still the CFR and the appeals board managed to cock it all up again. So they were dealt with quite harshly by the registrar, by the judge, and the judge actually ordered the licenses to be granted from the bench, which is a very strict and harsh sanction on the appeals board, on CFR and on the appeals board, and of course granted costs. So that was a great judgment as well. However, there's no reason to think that this is not going to reoccur, because these guys just don't learn. Until such time as the chair of the appeals board and the registrar have money taken out of their pensions, they are not going to learn a damned lesson. There's no consequence management. They could, quite frankly, not give a damn. Anyway, so then the other case, the third case, it was also Martin's case, on behalf of an entity in Lesotho that imported some firearms. Because Lesotho is landlocked and surrounded by South Africa, obviously, the firearms have to come in. They have to come in via South Africa en route to Lesotho. So these guys applied for an import permit. The import permit was granted.
So that comes via sea, am I correct? That's
via sea or via land, by air, doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
It was imported to South Africa for en route to Lesotho.
Okay.
The CFR granted the import permits to South Africa, and there was export permits to Lesotho, and everything was in order. The guns got here, and then CFR said, whoa, stop the bus. They can't export the firearms to Lesotho because in the Act it says a juristic person must be the responsible person, or must be in charge of the process. Sorry, my Rottweiler's drinking water.
It's been a little bit.
It's Lynette's Rottweiler. It's not my Rottweiler. It's Lynette's Rottweiler. So anyway, so this went to court because they refused to grant an in-transit permit for the firearms. So the guns arrived and they were going to be destroyed, essentially, because again, SAPS just completely fails to understand the written law.
Yeah, right.
So again, Martin went the route and he got the correct orders. And that's now been granted. It's quite distressing when we see our tax monies being squandered on these idiots at CFR and these muppets that keep getting appointed to the Firearms Appeal Board, who can't read. They literally can't read the law.
I think they might just not care about it.
This is the point. There's no consequence management. Either these people have to be severely punished, financially punished, so they feel it in their pockets. So the appeals board chair has to go home and see the sheriff waiting for her there. Yeah. And the sheriff must take her bloody her dining room suite and load it on his truck and take it away to pay the bills. This is ridiculous. These people have to start feeling the consequences of their actions.
Absolutely.
Anyway, they don't. So then we have I want to refer to the case that's actually about to proceed. And that is the case that GOSA has sponsored, or GOSA is partially sponsoring, where Martin has managed to assemble a group for a class action. We've been trying this everybody's been trying this for years. It's difficult to get a class. So you need at least approximately 10 applicants, yes. And they all have to have significantly similar details to the case. Okay. So he's managed to assemble these, and he's taking this to court, and this is to try to nail down the damned periods. I'm also aware, by the way, that Safari and Outdoor is doing a similar action right now at the moment, and I see SADA and CHASA apparently are also now trying to gather the people. Now, as far as I understand matters, Martin is the attorney of record for SADA and CHASA. So I hope they're not crossing wires here, because if SADA and CHASA are paying for the class action. then I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all good. We have no problem with it as long as the bloody case goes ahead. And we can get, whether it's 90 working days or 90 calendar days, we can get this damn thing nailed down so the police can stop kicking the can down the road.
You know, it's just, if I can remember when I started in the firearm industry, we had that we could actually apply for competency and the firearm license.
Well, there's nothing in exactly. There's nothing in the law that prohibits that.
And that's something that really bugs me because
police they've stolen an extra 4 months,
exactly.
Essentially.
So those things should be able to go in at the same time.
Exactly that. And there's nothing in the Act or the regulations that says it has to be working days or court days. It's ordinary days. Absolutely. When it relates to members of the public, it's ordinary days. And the days start running from the moment you deliver your papers to your DFO.
Absolutely.
The moment you pay your money at the finance office, the clock starts ticking. That's the only reasonable, logical start date. Not when the DFO could be asked to bloody capture the stuff, which may be months and months later. You know, guys, if you can't administer the system, let it go. Give it to somebody who can administer the system. Because all they're doing is they're destroying whatever credibility. Sap some credibility. There's two concepts that aren't normally mentioned in the same sentence. Okay, all they're doing is destroying whatever faith South Africa still has in the South African police services. Whatever control they still have over firearms is being whittled away by this incompetence, by this, I don't know, it's malicious. It can only be malicious because you can't accidentally screw things up this badly.
Yeah.
You can't. This takes thought.
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Anything else?
So this all comes to, I've got the documents here. I can refer to them in greater detail if you want, if somebody comes up with a question. I want to refer you guys back. It's now almost a year since you and I, Tax Shack, our little gun shop, the thing that's supposed to put bread on the table, had to take CFR to court to force for the courts to force CFR to renew our dealer's license. And a lot of the stuff which I've been referring to in these documents, the person involved with refusing the licenses was Colonel Sigakani, who sits at CFR. The person who allowed CFR to get away with all this crap was Advocate Shandu, the chairperson of the Firearm Appeal Board. These same usual suspects keep coming up time and time again. So we struggled for 3 years to renew our dealer's license. At first, CFR claimed to have lost our license once it had been granted. Then they claimed because we didn't attach a copy of the license which they had lost to our new renewal application, that they couldn't process the renewal application. Then Colonel Sikakani, who's in charge of institutions at CFR, sent out one of her henchmen, a colonel who has since retired, and instructed him to find a problem. And the guy walked up the steps to our gun shop and he said, "I'm here to close you down." And he waved a sheaf of papers in his hand and said, "If I find any firearms on these premises that aren't on my list, I'm taking them with me." In any case, we went through the whole process. He walked into my vault, which has been in operation for 10 years. He looked at the roof outside of the vault in the general gun shop and said, "This is not compliant." I explained to him that it was compliant in terms of the Act. He said, "Where are your plans?" I said, "You have the plans. They're on file." He said, No, I don't have plans." How he knew that he didn't have plans when he arrived, he had to do the inspection is a mystery. Obviously, he'd set this whole thing up. In any case, so we got to court eventually. In the SAPS papers to court, prepared largely by Colonel Sikakani, she perjured herself horribly, blatantly. She made false statements under oath. She manufactured evidence against us. She took an inspection report from another gun shop, who shall remain nameless, and she replaced the front page, which identifies the gun shop, with a front page from one of our inspection reports that we'd passed with flying colors, by the way, and said, oh, you can see TACSHAC is non-compliant. This is why I sent the colonel out there to close them down, because there was guns lying around everywhere. So a complete fabrication. Yeah. She lied. She lied under oath. She presented her lies to court. She defamed us, and she's got away with it. So that's Colonel Sikakani, who's a liar and a fraudster. Then we have the Firearms Appeal Board. So we went to the Firearms Appeal Board and we said, but you can see, nothing's wrong. He has all the documents you need. He has the plans. He has this, he has that, he has the other. And Advocate Shandu, in her affidavit, in support of Colonel Sikakani's fraudulent affidavit, claims that she doesn't have the authority, as chairman of the appeals board, she doesn't have the authority to review or vary the decisions of the registrar. Advocate, if that's not your exact job description, what the hell is? Why are we, the South African taxpayers, paying for you to sit in your office, drive in your car, eat at our expense, live at our expense, if you get so completely incompetent that you don't even know what your job description is? Your exact job description is to review and vary decisions of the CFR after consideration. So we see these same two Muppets coming up time and again. Colonel Sikakani and Advocate Shandu. Both of them should have criminal charges laid against them. What they are doing is unlawful. What they are doing, they are defrauding the South African public. They're defrauding the taxpayers. They are hurting us all. They cause untold hundreds and hundreds of thousands rands worth of damage. To us personally, but to everybody else. As I've just, these other three cases that have just been decided, all point to the same thing. The same people are screwing it up for us. They have to be held liable. They have to be. Lynette, there's no other way. There's no other way that we're going to break this cycle of unlawfulness on the part of the CFR and on part of the appeals board. They have to be brought to heel. They have to have charges laid against them. They have to lose their pensions. Sikakani, Shandu, you need to lose your pensions. That's all I have for today.
Was there a question, Hannes?
Sorry, I was having a bit of a rant there, guys.
With all the court cases against them and judgments against them, what are the odds of the CFR managing any form of catch-up of the backlog?
It's never going to happen. It gets worse and worse and worse. The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, in the latest PMC report, is hauled over the coals once again by Parliament for being completely incompetent. Their backlog keeps increasing. They do less and less work all the time on an incremental basis. That's never going to get better as long as CFR rests with the South African Police Services. There's no incentive on them. There's no consequence management. The guys that cause this need to be drummed out of the service. They need to be charged civilly and criminally for dereliction of duty. They make an oath as police officers to South Africa, not to the president. They swear an oath to the country, to serve the country, and they serve God knows who. Certainly not the country.
Okay, there's another question. Based on the numbers they reported to PPC, they seem to have processed about 2,500 per month and indicated that this is about 50% staffing. Yet there are 340k apps in the hole.
Exactly the point. They're slipping further and further behind. Parliament has to step in at this stage. Stop the rot.
I think when the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee went to CFR, there was just piles and piles of
the parliamentarians, as I say, the parliamentary monitoring groups minutes of the PPC meetings are. It's absolutely unbelievable that they're allowed to get away with this. They don't do their job. They don't do their duty. It's not their job. It's their duty. These are officers appointed by the president, who serve at the pleasure of the president of this country. They are servants of the people. They have a duty, and they are completely abrogating their duty. They are acting maliciously. They are acting in complete conflict with everything with the oath that they've taken. It's unbelievable that these people are left in these positions.
Yeah, that was quite a rant today.
Sorry, I'm just sick and tired of it. We see the same movie over and over and over again. The movie doesn't change, the actors don't change. It's the same disaster month on month on month and year on year. We've got to call a stop to this, guys. There's got to be a way that we can stop this.
Anything else, Hannes? Is that it? Okay. Thank you very much for everybody that watched today. If you've got any comments or if you want us to discuss anything next week, please leave it in the comments section, or you can email Hannes at events@gosa.co.za and we'll take it from there. Thank you very much and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.